that happens is, like I said, we went from having one person in the office with me to 6 in 12 months. So that's like a lot of stress, a lot of things going on. So, sometimes I get impatient with somebody or kind of snap at them, or I'm kind of snippy just because all the different stressors. But it's like, hey, that's not right. You got to slow it down, because then that makes them afraid to take initiative because they don't want to get yelled at.
Could be your lack of sleep. Like I told Daniel Good, you are a little snappy lately.
Maybe it's the creatine you got me on.
Welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, a show that highlights the remarkable individuals who are shaping the construction industry and pushing its boundaries with engaging interviews, expert discussions, and real-world stories of success. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, here with my co-host,
Nate Swinkleton, your broke builder.
Nate Swinkleton, what's up, brother?
Oh, not much, man. You know what I just thought? It's going to be really fun doing an episode live in Florida in, 4 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, that will, yeah.
That's going to be nuts.
We got about 3 weeks till it, doing a live episode in Florida. Hopefully we're not right after Ed Mylett. Because
we'll kill it. All we got to do is be really loud. Bah! I'm just kidding. No, Ed is good.
Yeah. Hopefully we go before him, set the tone for him.
We've got Ed coming to this event, and it's probably, I would think, one of the smaller events he's ever done, right? It's going to be pretty intimate. How many guys you think are going to be in the room while he's speaking? Less than 50?
Yeah, less than 50, because I know Brian's not just opening up the doors for everybody, which is awesome and smart on Brian's part, too. To kind of make it more of an intimate setting for the inner circle members and stuff like that within Top Contractor School, which brings to a good point. If you guys want to see Ed Mylett, check out Top Contractor School. Maybe take a look at it. Nate and I have been a part of it, been a huge part of our success with our business. It's what we talk about, a lot of the tools and stuff we've learned there within it. So a lot of new members coming in, pouring in too, all of a sudden.
Yeah, a lot. And Brian's really brings the quality to these events, man. They're at really nice resorts. We've ran out steakhouses, I'm not saying Ruth Chris, I'm talking freaking the nicest places. And he brings on people like John Maxwell, Ed Mylett. I mean, we've done events at the Steelers Stadium, events at the Pirates baseball field, whatever you call that. Not sure. I'm not a big sports guy. But anyway, check it out.
No, yeah, it's managed really well, done really well. Sound, mics, everything done very professionally as well too. Looking forward to this event. Brian does do a really good job with it, and the group, like I said, tight knit group. Everybody, helps each other. We're all there to help and guide each other. We've all had issues that we've dealt with that can help somebody else out too. Just a solid group of people just trying to be the best they can be in construction too. So go check out Top Contractor School if you guys are interested, that you're listening out there. And before we get started, take time to like, share, comment, subscribe. You know the routine on this podcast. Share it with your friends and family. Goes a long way. If you got a friend next to you, say, hey, you need to listen to this. These two guys are great. They do a great job. They're the best podcast out there on the market.
Good looking. They're
very good looking too. Buff, hot. They're good looking guys. Right, Nate?
I don't know if I got the buff. I've been hitting that creatine though.
There you go.
Form. I don't know if it works. Does creatine work if you sit at your office desk all day?
Not really, but it is still good for you. It's a good supplement.
Better than nothing, right?
Yeah, it's a good supplement to have. Just make sure you're drinking lots of water with it too.
Yeah.
Are you drinking a lot of water?
Oh yeah, I pee like every 30 minutes.
Creatine will increase the pee too. You're gonna have to pee more on creatine, but Good
Yeah.
product to have for mental clarity. That's another sponsorship for First Form. That's one of our no, they'll be one of our sponsors one day, I'm sure, within this. But no, we appreciate you guys. Hope you all. This one's showing up after Christmas, so hope you all had a Merry Christmas. You guys had a great time with your friends and your family. This is our New Year's episode, so today Nate and I are talking about some mistakes we made for the year and what we're going to do in this upcoming year, some of the goals we got coming, our one word, which Nate says he doesn't want to say one word, so he's going to tell you his goals coming up. But Nate, before we get into it, what's this show all about?
Yeah, man. So the TCS podcast, we highlight 3 different styles of episodes. Number 1 is a deep dive into a specific topic or theme. Number 2 is construction news and how it applies to you. And number 3 is an expert interview. No bozos, no shows. These are guys who do it, guys who are scaling companies and getting stuff done. So let's jump into this one, Billy.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. No both.
Billy.
Oh man, it wouldn't be
That'd
a
be
show.
great if I just whipped out a banjo, just like pulled a banjo out of nowhere. Billy B, bing bing, Billy B. You can make a song
I would
out of
be.
that.
I would be impressed if you did that. You should do that.
I would impress myself if I did that.
Yeah, a little harmonica and banjo at the same time. Now that'd be impressive.
We were gonna make a folk song named after you.
Billy B. Baby, that's the song. Anyway, let's get into this debate. So we wanted to kind of brush on it, obviously, with the new year coming. Hope you all have a happy new year. This one's dropping right before New Year's Day. So New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So hopefully we can give you a little insight on some of the mistakes we've made for our year. Hopefully we can reflect on those mistakes and kind of help you guys out and help you avoid them too. So Nate, I'm going to let you get started. I have a few that I have that I've painfully made and learned from myself. But how about you jump into some of the mistakes that you made this past year in 2023?
Wow. How long of an episode are we going to do? Is it going to be 4 hours, 5 hours long?
It can be. We can break it up into segments and that'll...
I don't have enough. We don't have enough time to go through the mistakes that I've made in a year.
Hit on the big ones.
Yeah, let's do that. So, dang, I'm not sure. I don't have any like major thing that comes to mind. Just a bunch of small things. You know, like the beginning of the year, I started with just me and one person in our office. Now there's me and 6 people in our office. 12 months later. So that's been crazy. One thing that I've learned that maybe I've led incorrectly with different things, where people keep coming to me asking for questions. It's something I've realized over the last couple months. So what I've done to shift that so that I'm not just the genie in the bottle is, what do you think? Right. And then have them, okay, go do that. Right. And that's a tactic that they teach in TCS of like how to properly delegate and get people to be thinking on their own. So they don't just run to you and you give them an answer. So that's one thing which, you're always constantly building that muscle of not wanting to just respond right away to get it done because you're busy, you're in the middle of something. So that's one. I think number 2 is when I'm at work, I am like, I'm a killer. I'm intense. Maybe sometimes a little too intense, where it makes some of my people too timid to make a mistake. Not that I yell at them when they make a mistake, but just because of, I don't know, I think maybe they just don't want to let me down or whatever it is. So maybe it's definitely something I need to work on that I've made the mistake of is I need to channel that and just kind of work on my leadership a little bit more.
Go into that a little bit because that's a big topic right there. Is coming off too intense. I mean, do you think that kind of makes your employees hesitant to come to you for things, makes them hesitant to open up and talk about problems and or their thoughts of the business and how.
I think it can be, yeah. Yeah, it definitely can be. So what we're doing is we're getting back to doing like a weekly meeting with the
Okay.
whole entire office, or at least, we're doing department meetings weekly, but at least doing like a whole office meeting every month where we can just like lay it out on the table, like, hey, what does Nate need to improve on? What does everyone else need to improve on? Where do you see things are hanging up? And I think in doing those more, right, you get people, because naturally people aren't going to speak up at work,
Hmm.
right? Because that's not something that most owners want. Most owners want you to come in, sit down, shut up, do your stuff, and leave. They don't want your opinion. They don't want but that's also a horrible way to run a company, because you need all those opinions. You need the insight. You need their, what do they see from their perspective? You need their perspective. Otherwise, I just don't think you're going to run a good organization, because you can't with only yourself. You need to delegate and give them more and more responsibility through entrusting them by them giving you their perspective. So in doing these meetings, that's opened it up more, where people are, hey, I think this or this, and it's like, wow, I didn't know you thought like that, but I totally see that opinion, and I agree with that. Actually, let's fix that. So I think having that place for people to come and have an open conversation on how to improve things, and they're not always going to come and like just start shooting things off to you right away. You might just have to keep having the meetings, and then they'll get used to it and get used to it. And then 2-3 months down the road of having the meetings, now more and more people are giving their input, because again, it's not like that at most companies. So it's not necessarily your fault as the owner, but it's the cultural of the workplace in general, or the work space in general, whether they go work for another contractor, whatever it is. It just isn't a thing to get together and say, hey, how can I improve and how can the company improve? Unfortunately, it's not like that at 99% of companies. So,
I and going off of what you said too, I think people aren't used to being able to give their opinions for, because a lot of companies don't allow that. Good companies do, and there's a lot more companies out there, I think, that just kind of, it's their way or the highway. They don't allow open opinion, open discussion, like you said, in meetings and so on. I'm big on just allowing people to kind of speak their voice, give their opinion, because they're a part of what we're building. They're the critical part of what we're doing, how we run, how we operate. And, when you give them a voice too, they're going to feel a part of it. When I constantly go to our team and say, we're going to be the top luxury builder in the state of Florida, you're the way we're going to get there. You guys are going to be the ones that, are running this and higher roles at some point too, as we build, as we grow. But I need your opinions on how to get there, and I'm not going to reject them. I mean, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. I'll say it. But a
yeah.
lot of the times, like you just said too, is your employees do have really good opinions on stuff that they just keep trapped in. And I had that happen at our last team meeting where one of our assistant superintendents, I can tell he wanted to say something, because we always go around the table. I do a round table at the end of the meeting, go to each person, say, hey, what do you think? You got anything on your mind that you want to open up to? And he was going to say something. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, just let it out. Nobody's going to judge you on it. Just let it out. Let's hear what you got to say. And he just started talking about how he wanted to take more initiative. Like if we get a new truck, because we're getting a new dump trailer, he's like, if we get a new truck, I should get the bigger truck, the 2500, to tow the trailer, because I'm going to be the one more than likely. And he goes, and plus I want to take the initiative of being the one to tow that trailer to the different jobs to, and having to dump it too. So he basically raised his hand to take initiative on that too. And we need a new work truck. So, and then we're going to get rid of the old one that he drives. But anyway, it's just open it up, open table discussion, let your employees kind of fill in, give good ideas, and knowledge within the business is huge, man. And it's like you talking about your intensity. Yeah, that can scare people. I mean, I'm an intense person too. As business owners, we should be. But you also got to come off in a way to where it's like, yeah, and go individually to them too. It doesn't have to be in a team environment. Go individually and talk to them about what they need, what they want, because some people don't want to talk in front of everybody else. They're not good at that as well. So just open up and, do one-on-one and just see what they need to do good at their job, plain and simple.
Yep.
So
yeah,
what
man,
else
I've
you
made
got?
that, sometimes getting short with people, like that's right. And the biggest thing when that happens is, like I said, we went from having one person in the office with me to 6 in 12 months. So that's like a lot of stress, a lot of things going on. So, sometimes I get impatient with somebody or kind of snap at them, or I'm kind of snippy just because all the different stressors. But it's like, hey, that's not right. You got to slow it down, because then that makes them afraid to take initiative because they don't want to get yelled at.
Could be your lack of
So
sleep. Like I told Daniel Good, you are a little snappy lately.
maybe it's the creatine you got me on.
So,
No, I don't know.
nah, I'm just messing with you, man. Yeah, I mean it's like you said though. If you're snappy with them, they're gonna be afraid to approach you. That's the thing. They're not gonna want to approach you if you're snapping on. And it only takes once or twice for you to snap on them, and then they're gonna go hide in their shell and not talk about kind of their opinions and ideas for the business too. And that's what you don't want. So, uh,
Yep.
we're here talking about our experiences. Business is tough. You're gonna have, I mean, as an owner, you're gonna have those rough days. I mean, Nate and I both have newborns. The lack of sleep, those type of things, and it's a lot of work. And then going to work too, you might have a little bit of a day that you're on edge a little bit, but you got to kind of step back, take a step back, and it just do your best to be good to your employees and hear them and talk to them. And when I'm having a rough day and I'm tired and stuff like that, my employees kind of know, because I'm on the computer, they start talking to me, I'm just kind of like I'm a little bit shorter. I've noticed that too, which maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm tired, this and that. So, and I've tried to get better with that too, by acknowledging it. And that's the first step too, is acknowledging that your problem and trying to fix it, so you give them the right attention that they need as well. So, um, any other issues you're dealing with, Nate, this past year, 2023?
Oh, tons of issues, man. um, our backlog's good. Like financially, we're pretty good. We had a little cash flow issue like last week, and I had to pull some personal money out to cover the company for a couple weeks. But it's all good, man. It's just like figuring out how to track things better, right? Like we do financial forecasting spreadsheets, so we know where things are going to be at financially. We made a mistake on the report because we didn't cover for potential incidentals, so then we put ourselves in a bind. So it's like, I think the biggest game changer when dealing with mistakes is if your vision is so big and you're not thinking about right now, you're thinking about a bigger vision, then you don't look at those things. You just think, oh, that's like, all right, cool, I learned. You don't get frustrated. You're like, all right, cool, we learned what works, what doesn't work. Now we know. But it's just a stop along the journey. Whereas if you're not looking, like we're looking out 100 million, that's our vision. We're like, all right, we want to be $100 million company in 8 to 10 years. That's our vision. So like when we have a small issue, which seems like a big issue at the time, I'm like, cool, all right, well, that's a stepping stone on the way to the journey. Whereas if I was just living for the day or just trying to get by, I'd be like losing my mind because I'm not thinking of such a big picture. So I think that's really what keeps me going. I'll get down and I'll get discouraged or I'll get depressed for a few hours, and then I'm like, you know what, man, this is just temporary. Here, there's that big vision. You're going to be there in 8 to 10 years, but you got to keep going. You can't quit. You got to keep going. You got to keep learning, adjusting, and that's the biggest separator, I think, right there. It's all in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, and every single year, going off of that too, every single year, I mean, you're always learning. There's always going to be something. I mean, even in 2024 coming up here, you're going to have some kind of issue that you're going to learn from.
Yep.
And it goes back to, surrounding yourself with good people that can help you through that issue too, like we talked about at the beginning. But or just you tackle it yourself or tackle it with your employees and having that communication, that group. I mean, you grew your company from you and another guy to 6 other employees right now. We're the same way. I mean, we got 7 people now all together. We never had that many. It was always just my brother, me, and my dad, and another girl in the office, maybe tops. And then now we got just a whole crew of people, and we're about to hire another laborer again too. So, yeah, man, it's you figure out a lot on the way. It's the journey that's a part of it with business and growth, and just kind of figuring out how to grow, but not grow too crazy to where you lose control too. And I think that was one of my problems too, is last year I didn't put the right systems in place to support the growth. I mean, we got 14 houses going on all at once right now, and these are big houses. I mean, these aren't just track home builds. These are luxury homes. So to have that many big houses with all different moving parts to them, you got to have the right systems in place. And we're very good with our systems, but we weren't very good for the guys in the field. So I can tell they were stressing out, and I can just see the stress on my superintendent's face, like in meetings and stuff like that. And it goes back to what we were talking about, is like talking with them. And I would try and get it out of him at the meeting, but he's the type that doesn't like to talk in front of people. So finally, I talked one on one. I'm like, "What can I do to make, like, what's going on, man? Like, what's a matter with you? Because I can tell something's not right." And he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just super stressed. I just feel like there's just no organization in what we're doing. Like, I don't have, anything to go off of. So it's kind of like a free for all." I was like, all right, if I made this like a list of what to do at the end of a house for you, and like we met once a week, every Friday at the end of the week, to see what you've accomplished and what we can accomplish the next week, would that help? And I put it in the software that we use, and he'd be like, yeah, I think so. So we started doing that, making a list, utilizing, just implementing more and more as we went to make it easier. Guys happy. Closings are better for us now too. And that goes back to what you just said too, is kind of as we go, we grow, we figure out those situations that we need to address. And that was a big one that we didn't realize. We were just used to having a certain amount of, like, 5 houses at a time or whatever that we can carry, had our same routines, but nothing was on paper. Nothing was like a list to help these guys. So implemented that was a big one for us, is getting the right systems. And we're still growing on systems too. I'm still trying to figure out other systems for everybody so we don't lose control as well, even with our selections coordinator.
Yeah, for the amount of houses you have, man, it seems like you should have a couple more
Yeah.
site soups. Is that where you're hiring a couple more right now?
So we usually start
you guys are like killer efficient, because all the builders we work with, they're like, it's like one project manager to 2 homes or something.
Yeah, we don't do that, man. We have, our systems are really good in how we handle everything too. I mean, my brother's still primarily out there, and he's training our super right now to be kind of project manager, to kind of take a lot off of his plate too. There's times where I'm getting involved. I'm the man of all hats, is what I am with the business. I jump in when I need to jump in, but I have my roles too that I'm good at. I know what I do, but I'm also the guy that has to jump in case we are lagging somewhere too. We have a house that we got to close in end of May, and my brother doesn't think it can happen until end of June. I'm like, no, we have to close this house end of May. What do I need to do on my end to help get this done? But that's a leadership role too within the company. The leader always has to keep the ship afloat. So if there's something that's lagging, like I help my selections coordinator all the time. Like if she's out in a meeting, needs to get stuff done. If I got a little time in my day, I'll get it done. I'll get a bid approved, but I'm also the one that's always on the phone with the clients, keeping the peace, making sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
That was one of the other mistakes I was going to talk about too. But we was pricing and stuff like that. But we have really good systems on how we've done it because we built them over the last 25 years. But a lot of them were old school to where we've implemented the newer structure to stuff too. I mean, I had Brian do a Zoom with my team, a couple months ago to start talking about technology and using it because it was hard to get our guys to break, including my brother, who's the leader out there with them, to break away from the old school yellow notepad, writing my task lists on the notepad for the day. That doesn't work anymore. So now we're doing full technology, implemented checklist, all that kind of stuff now too. So we're growing, we're figuring it out as we go too, because we've never had this many houses, but we're doing a pretty damn good job with the amount of houses we have and keeping control too, because it's just constantly like, shifting, just constantly making moves to get the job done and do a good job too with it. And it's taken a long time to get there, but we're pretty good with it right now. And I'm hiring a labor, and when I hire laborers, it's a position that they can climb up depending on who the person is. They can climb up quick to be assistant superintendent if they put in that work. Like Mason, who used to work at First Form out of St. Louis, he climbed up quick. The kid would just put his head down, work. He busted his ass, like hard worker, very smart too, learned quick, learned everything quick. With Matt, was very coachable, very trainable, and now he's leveled up that quick. So that's kind of what we're looking for with our team, as well as kind of just building the systems, building the crew and the team. And because we got a lot of houses right now and quite a few more coming up as well.
Yeah, dude, you're killing it.
But
you're definitely paying for our golf round in a few weeks.
There's a course right behind my house that just opened up too, so we can go play that.
Let's go book it.
Yeah. We should for sure. But another thing, that's what I touched on too, was underpricing. Was another thing with me. Obviously, I mean, even being a cost plus builder or whatever, we do an initial estimated price, and some of these houses I priced 2 years ago. I had a bid 2 years ago, and with all the delays we had happen, I wasn't prepared for what was to come, which was a lot of increases in labor cost, increases in material cost too. I mean, we can't predict the future. None of us can. So now all I've been doing, a lot of my time is spent calling customers and being like, hey, the price increased to this, and then calling subcontractors and to renegotiate the price with them of their new bid that they're sending out 2 years later. So it's like a lot of my time is spent there, which it could be being spent somewhere else, but that's the unfortunate thing that I don't think I could have changed it unless I really padded up pricing back 2 years ago, which I didn't know.
Yeah,
But
and then if you pad it too much, you just won't get the jobs. So it's
that's
like
the problem. Yeah, exactly.
Either way, that's just part of construction.
Yeah,
especially in this day and age. It used to not be. It used to not fluctuate that much, but
it's bad. Yeah, it was bad this last
even now,
years.
like the steel market fluctuates all over the place. Like that auto worker strike, as soon as they went on strike, steel costs went way down. So we're like, hell yeah, whatever we're ordering now, we bid it higher. We're making like an extra 10% on the material. And then when they went back to work, the prices shot up like 20% in a week because the demand went through the roof and the supply is down, right? So Yeah, it's a tricky thing. Thank God for good suppliers, right? They
Hmm.
call me, they inform me, hey, this is why the market's doing this. And then once you get to a certain size, then that'll be part of my daily routine. I'm sure once we're a 30, right around 30 million, then I'll need to be watching the markets, because if it moves a little bit, that will have serious effect on us. If we're buying, $5 million worth of steel a year, and if it moves a few percent, that's going to change how much money that costs. So yeah,
Yeah,
all,
I
all
mean,
things to pay attention to as much as you can, but it just
it's hard.
depends on, you know, where you're at.
And there's probably people out there asking, like, how do you deal with that? Because, I mean, I'm sure we're not the only contractors in that situation on the building end, too. It's just how I deal with it is a lot of conversations, building a lot of trust with my clients, too. I've built a lot of trust with them to where, I can have those conversations with them on, why certain things happen, why they went up. I mean, price from 2 years ago, it went up, but I also work for them too. I could say, it is what it is, prices are just higher, but no, I actually negotiate the price down. And I hate to say it, sorry, subcontractors out there, but I have to beat up the subs in those circumstances too, because I work for the client. That's what I do. The subs obviously work for us. We're paying them, but I work for the client. The sub doesn't have to talk to the client. I do. So, and that's overall the result that we're working for, and getting us all paid is that client. So I have to do what's best for them, and what's best for them is to negotiate as much as possible on these increases. And I show them everything. I show them, here was your original bid back in, let's say, 2021. Just had this situation happen. Here was your original drywall bid in 2021. Here was your new drywall bid, which was almost 10 grand more in 2023. Here's what I got it down to, which I got them 5 grand down. So I got my sub to come down 5 grand. It was very hard to do that. But my subcontractor also knows he's going to have more work. He's got a lot of work with us in the future too. So there's a lot of give and take. I mean, we've used this certain sub for a while, so I'm able to do that with them too, to where I'm not going to beat them up as much on other jobs. I'm always going to beat them up because I always want to get the best price for my client. And I want to show my client that I'm working for them, because not a lot of builders do that. And it's just the way my dad always was too. Got to have a conscience. Got to, that's why we've been in business as long as we have, because I'm going to fight for the best price for them. But it's just a way of give and take and kind of presenting it back to the client. Be like, listen, this cost went up here. Here's what I did for you. I got it down here. Please understand, it's been 2 years. Labor costs are up. These guys are driving 45 minutes down here to work there and back, or over an hour to get here to work down here. So their labor costs are all high in that aspect too. Plus materials have gone up, obviously, since Hurricane Ian and so on. But here's what I did for you. Take a look at it. I send them the bid. They look at it and they're usually like, I get it, Bill. Let's keep communicating on this stuff. Let's hope not much else goes up throughout the process. But I do my best to just have that conversation. It's always on the phone too. It's not just through email.
Yeah, and as a subcontractor, like, let's talk about something from a subcontractor standpoint, because that's where we are. We're a steel subcontractor. We would take a lot of hits, but now that we have a bigger yard and a bigger facility, we don't need to, because we can buy material as soon as we get a contract at what we bid it at, right? And then if the job doesn't start for a few months, we just store the material, and you have to bid that. You have to build all that in, right? Your yard cost is in your overhead, so you're recuperating that cost. That cost is already tacked onto the bid. So there's things like that, like this drywall guy, right? If I don't know how much drywall fluctuates, but if it's an item that anybody's using and it has high fluctuation, the bigger you grow your business, where you're doing more volume, you can have more pull with your supplier, and you'll have a bigger yard. Where, let's say you need a store material. Let's say Bill says, here, I got 10 houses for you, and you need to store certain things. I'm speaking hypotheticals. I don't know what drywall things cost, but let's say drywall mud goes up 10%. So instead of it going up 10%, you buy a whole semi truckload of drywall mud and you store it at your yard or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad analogy because the drywall mud will dry up, but whatever it is,
And
you
not
know.
everybody has a yard either. That's a way to think about it too.
Well, yeah, I mean, with us being in commercial and residential construction, when we get awarded the project, we're locked in.
Yeah.
It says in our contract, subcontractor is aware that materials are in fluctuation period and subcontractor bears all cost of fluctuation and increase
You don't do it.
beyond
You don't do
this.
a 30-day bid. This
In our
price is
bids,
good for 30 days.
in our bids we do, but once we get a contract, we're locked.
Yeah.
I can't go to them and say it went up because
Yeah.
it's in our contract that we don't care if it went up. You should have bought the material the day after you got the contract and stored it. That way you can control if it goes up or down. So subcontractors on that end figure out what you need to do. What we had to do was take and spend an extra couple $1,000 a month, get a bigger yard. You take that couple thousand a month, you add that cost to your overhead recovery, and that cost gets dispersed through all your projects. So your clients are all paying for it. So you got to think about those different things on how you can manipulate that. And again, maybe if you have a bigger yard or a bigger warehouse, then you have more pull with your supplier, and there's ways that you can save money and get creative when materials are fluctuating, and ways you can still save money when a GC is trying to get your costs down.
Yeah. Smart. I love that too, because I mean it makes a lot of sense because you're going to have a GC coming to try and get the cost down. They're going to try. I mean, I consider myself a good contractor, a good builder, but a reason we are is because, like I said, we work for the client. So I'm always trying to do what's in the client's. Not every builder does this. I know quite a few of them that don't, but it's just the way we are, conscience wise, that we're working for the client's best interests. And that's what I tell everybody. That's actually when I'm at the beginning stages with clients too. I always say, I'll get everything bid out. So after contract, so they can see a good estimate of what the house is going to cost. But I say it's not necessarily going to cost this because I'm still going to work for you. I'm still going to talk to these guys and see if I can get some better pricing. These people that we're building for have millions and millions of dollars, but they still want a better price. Saving a couple grand here and there means a lot to them. That's how they got millions of dollars. Yep. So because they were good with their money.
It. You're a tight ass.
You're good with your money, man. That's the thing. So it's that was one of the things too that I made, and I can't really call it a mistake. It was just something that it was tough this year. It was a lot of, and it still is. We're kind of getting to the back end of it, of these houses that took forever for us to get going and break ground on because of all the initial craziness with roof trusses and all these different things. But if anybody has questions about that too, reach out to me, because I know there's quite a few other builders out there that kind of face that situation, and I'm happy to help kind of coach you on how I talk with clients too, because I do a pretty good job with it, but it's also helping them and making sure that they understand that I did what's in their best interest, not my own. That's what this business is all about in all aspects of it too. So Nate, I think let's wrap it up. One word. You don't want to do the one word, but you can do a goal. Your goal for 2024
first. Do your word first.
Well, I was gonna say prosper. That's my one word, because obviously with prosperity comes great things, goal accomplishments for my team. I always have a vision for my team too, and I tell them in every meeting that these houses that we build, one day all of you are going to have one of these houses that we build on the water too. That's the main goal. That's the ultimate goal, is for everybody to prosper along this ride, this journey. Like I said, we're going to be the number one builder in the state as far as luxury homes. I'm on a mission to do that, meet people to get there, and I have connections already forming and building that network too. But it's just prosperity, accomplishing growth. I mean, I can say a million different words for this year to keep growing and just keep our heads down, do a good job, take care of the clients, communication is key with that. Nate and I say communication about 100 times an episode. So, Nate, what you got?
I did get one. I thought of a good one here. It's a
Hey.
banger. Experience.
There you go.
That'll be what we need to work on most next year. If I had to put it into a word, experience. Making the company a better experience for the employees and making the interaction of those employees and that company with our clients a better experience as well.
Awesome. Love it. See, that wasn't so hard. It was a good word.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, that is a wrap on this episode and on the year too. So Nate and I will be back in 2024 and giving you guys podcasts each and every week, interviews, and we need to do some news coming up here too, and all the other good stuff. So hope you guys have a very happy new year. Enjoy it. Stay safe out there, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.